Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. So much of our coming into this space tonight feels like I'm just trying to embrace the light, the light, the light. And you know, I've been personally taking a lot of deep breaths today, and maybe that's just a good idea in general, right? Just, you know, breathe in, breathe out. Okay, good to keep on breathing. I can't assume that everyone in this room feels exactly the same way that I may today, but this is a very heavy moment, I think, for our country. Safe to say that whether you're jubilant or in despair, this is a really big day in American history. And our kids will look back in the books, and again, they'll probably say, "And where were you? And what did you feel? And what did you say? And where did you go? And who did you talk to?" And even if you don't have kids or grandchildren, we should be able to turn to our friends and say, here's what I plan to do, here's what I hope to do, here's how I will use my voice to soothe a very, very fraught country where people feel a lot of things, ranging from anger to sadness. And I just feel like tonight, boy, you know, when it came down this morning, the decision to overthrow Roe v. Wade, I said, of course Shabbos. Did you just do that to my Shabbat? I'm very selfish.
Very selfish.
But I also thought, no, you can't do this to my people. This is not what I want for them to have to shoulder on Shabbat. But guess what? There's more than just my shoulders. There's your shoulders and your shoulders. And we got each other. And we got to use those shoulders and not just those elbows. We'll get ready for the elbow part. Yes, we will. We use the shoulders to vote. We use the shoulders to, you know, maybe row the boat forward. But we really also just need to, you know, think of what we're going to use these hands to do, these hearts to do. And it is about these moments of quiet and peace where we can actually decide, you know, use these moments of quiet and rest for decisions to be made, to choose. What will my actions be? To choose. What will my speech be like? To choose, right? This is all about, we always have agency. We are never, ever, as human beings who are alive on earth, we are never, ever bereft or in any way lacking agency, as long as we're free. And we are free. And so we have to use that constitutional right of freedom however we can to lift our voices to either sing in chorus or to be rallying against. So that's what we choose tonight to do, to use our God-given hands and hearts and minds and to start thinking about those kinds of choices that we want to make. And I hope that tonight you'll figure out your own call to action, but I'll also give you some ideas about what we might be doing as a synagogue. And you know, the pulpit is a very political place. We can't help it. We live in this time. But at the same time, what I hope you will always remember is that this rabbi, this Cantor, and our other rabbi are open-eared people. Open-hearted, open-eared, open-minded. So any of your feedback is greatly appreciated, whatever it is, because we need to hear all voices and we need to represent. I'll tell you that this rabbi is just happy to see you. Really, 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 in so many ways. And we have a lot of joy that we can celebrate. We just got to come, sometimes you dig a little deeper. That's all you do. I know that I'm happy to see so many of you, some of you who have had loss, some of you who have had illness, some of you who have really been wondering who their people is, and you found this people, and I'm so happy. And sometimes people come back after a little time not knowing where to be, and here you are. Everybody who's here? Everybody here?
We're here.
Okay, thank God. Never alone. Let's make the bracha over the candles together, friends. Take it in, that light. and sing. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, shel Shabbat.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
So friends, tonight is also a little bit of bittersweetness for our Temple Israel sacred family tonight, because tonight is Cantor Jenna Greenberg's last Shabbat with us, because she is going on to amazing endeavors, and I want you to stay right there. I have just some special things I want to share with you. Usually at this point I say, okay, you have a siddur, open your book, we're going to start here, but the reason I wanted to start with thanking you and gratitude is so everyone can truly be present and enjoy the beautiful music and mastery and presence of Cantor Greenberg. So some of you may know that we actually went to the same cantorial school together. I'm not going to tell them how long ago, but we did graduate in the same class at the Jewish Theological Seminary, but we definitely studied with the same chazanut, the cantorial professors. We watched each other in what was called nusach presentations, which were like mini little concerts that were very nerve-wracking for the students for the entire school, and I know we supported each other through those. And we even studied with the same voice teacher, who was also a mentor of both of ours, Cantor Lisa Klinger Cantor. Yes, we studied with Cantor. After graduating from JTS, we each went our separate ways, beginning our careers and our families, and we would meet annually at the cantorial conventions and conferences each year, many of which either she or I were literally carrying our babies in the carriers, you know, when we would go to these conventions over the years. And then perhaps about 8 years ago, was this right? About 8 years ago, my family was visiting Chicago, and all of a sudden, right in the Children's Museum cafeteria, we bumped into each other with all of our boys, husbands and children in tow. And even with our families, I remember vividly Cantor Greenberg and I just locked into each other, right? And we tried like desperately to catch up on all the years of our early cantorate and our motherhood. And I just want to share with everybody that the Ginsberg family is very special. Eventually, they moved to Dayton following Rabbi Ginsberg, Jenna's husband, Joshua's rabbinical career, and because the Greenberg-Ginsberg family believes so deeply in Jewish education that we were the ones who were blessed when they decided to make a bold decision to move to Columbus for their 3 children, Ranon, Elior, and Matan, to attend the Columbus Torah Academy. She has been sought after here in Columbus. Don't make me cry yet. Continuing her work as choir director, her award-winning work as choir director of the Dayton Jewish Chorale, but also working as the High Holy Day Chazan at Agudas Achim, tutoring and teaching at several shuls and schools, and eventually becoming a full-time teacher last year at the Columbus Jewish Day School. She has blessed Columbus with her work and dedication as a cantor, a musician, an artist, a teacher, a mentor, and especially as a blessed Temple Israel sacred musical partner to all of us. And personally for me, continuing our special friendship and making this challenging year for me, especially coming back into in-person services, healing from COVID, so meaningful and filled with gentle ease. And so when I think of Cantor Greenberg, I'm reminded of 2 beautiful passages from our tradition. The first from Pirkei Avot, the ethics of our ancestors, which says, Shammai Omer Aseh Toratcha Keva, Omer Ma'at ve'aseh arbe, ve'heve mekabel et kol ha'adam b'sefer panim yafot. Which means Shammai used to say, Rabbi Shammai, make the study of Torah a fixed practice. Speak little but do much, and always receive all people with a cheerful face. Whether we have been creating beautiful liturgical music together, or collaborating on concerts, or spending Shabbat or holiday time together, Torah is always at the heart of everything you do, everything she does. She's always saying yes, always super prepared and professional, and literally always has a smile and joy for us, for me, even when I know life, or just even the day or the week, has been stressful for her. That is the ultimate sign of a mensch. So another passage is from Mishle, the Proverbs, that says, potcha b'chochma v'torat chesed al lishona. Her mouth is full of wisdom and her tongue with teachings of loving kindness. And this wisdom and teaching she will take with her to her next blessed congregation, where she will be the ritual director of Beth El in Highland Park in Chicago. They are so lucky and blessed to have you join their team. So, as a little parting gift, now you can come up here for a second before we get busy with our own tefillah. So, we want you to open this right now. I'm going to show everybody what we got to remember you. For you to remember us, it is a mezuzah in the shape of a piano, because you brought beautiful music to us, and the kosher clough is on its way. It was supposed to arrive today, so I'm going to bring it to your house. And so with this parting gift, we want you and your new home and your life to be blessed and filled with music, with joy, with adventure, and most of all, shalom, peace. Toda rabah. Thank you for everything. So we begin, actually, our Torah teaching. Yes, you got to get to work. Oh, wait, this is for you. I took your present. But actually, before you get to work, we're going to begin our tefillah tonight with a blessing for you, a tefillat haderech. So friends, now, with your siddur, if you can open to page 260, you are so welcome. We are going to bless Cantor Greenberg with a tefillat haderech, with a prayer for your journey. יהי רצון מפניך אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו שתוליכנו לשלום ותעצירנו להגיע למחוז חפצנו לחיים ולשמחה ולשלום ושמור צאתנו ובואנו ותצילנו מכל צרה ותשלח ברכה מכובסי ידינו ומעשינו יכבדנו את שמך ברוך אתה אדוני שומר ישראל לעד. May it be your will, O God, and God of our ancestors, that you lead Cantor Greenberg in peace and help you reach your destination safely, joyfully, and peacefully. May God protect you on your leaving and your return to come visit us, of course, and rescue you from any harm. And may God bless the work of your hands and your heart, and your deeds merit honor for you. Praise to you, Adonai, protector of Israel.
Amen.
And now,
I love you too. That's all I'm saying. You're an Eshet Chayil, that is for sure.
So let's bring in the Shabbat bride and the singing of Kabbalat Shabbat on page 12 with Lechu Nevranena. Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Ladonai. Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Ladonai. Nauria, Nauria, Litzur Yishenu Nekad Mapana Betoda. Nauria, Nauria, Litzur Yishenu Bispirot Nauria Lo. Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Ladonai. Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Ladonai. Do you need one?
Yeah, I do.
We turn to page 13 on the next page, and this, my favorite word, yismachu. Wherever we are in our mindset, we've got to find the joy, which means, yismachu means let's find the sameach, right? We find the joy. Last paragraph in the Hebrew on page 13. Yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yiram hayam, yiram hayam, yiram hayam, umlo, yiram hayam, yiram hayam, yiram hayam, umlo, yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Page 15. You wonder what the ancients went through when you read a psalm like this, the top of page 15. Maybe it was a similar time that they had to go through, similar ardor, similar struggle. And we read together, Adonai is sovereign, let the earth exult, the many islands rejoice. Dense clouds are around God, righteousness and justice are the base of God's throne. O you who love Adonai, hate evil. God guards the lives of God's loyal ones, saving them from the hand of the wicked. Light is sown for the righteous, radiance for the upright. O you righteous, rejoice in Adonai and acclaim God's holy name. Page 16. I love how we come into shul and it's just like coasting and we go from wave to wave. The next wave of song, page 16, Zamru. Zamru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra, b'chatzotzrot v'kol shofar. Hariu lifnei hamelech Adonai, yiram hayam ulo, tevel ve'yoshveva, neharot imcha uchav yachad, harim yiranenu, lifnei Adonai kiva, lishpat haaretz, yishbot tevel betzedek, ve'ami b'meisharim. Yiram hayam ulo, tevel ve'yoshveva, neharot imcha uchav yachad, harim yiranenu, yachad harim yiranenu. Page 20. Lecha dodi, likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekar.
Please rise.
Boi v'shalom, ateret balagam b'simcha, uvetzolatoch emunei am segula boi chala lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Please be seated. Page 26, a little pause, gearing ourselves up for Ma'ariv, our evening service.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabba,
Amen.
v'amad yikrach chirutei v'yamlik malchutei, b'chayechon u'byomechon, u'v'chayei t'chol beit Yisrael, bagala, u'bizman kariv ve'imeru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach, le'olam olam me'almaya, yitbarach, v'ishtabach, v'yitbar v'yitramah v'yinaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shmei d'kudusha, le'la min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma ve'imeru, amen.
Please rise as you are able. Turn to page 28 for Baruch. Please have a seat, everyone. Let's turn to page 31. Since it's the evening, we now think about a new day. The Jewish day starts at night. So we think about that new day. And on page 31, we read the second blessing together. 31, thank you, 31, together. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over?
Where shall our hearts
turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over?
Baruch atah Adonai, Amariv, Aravim.
On page 32, As we say the prayer for Torah, we make a blessing for the loving intention behind everything that we learn, because that's how we're cast as the Jewish people, to continue always growing and learning. We say together, everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel.
Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Israel.
Page 34.
Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Let's turn to page 39 and read at the top of the page together. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. On the next page, page 40.
את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גל ישראל.
We continue, everyone, on page 43. Let's read this together. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Across the page.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu shomreinu. Page 44, we sing V'shamru, keeping Shabbat together. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. וביום השביעי שבת וינפת. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת.
Well, I want to thank you for being here because I know you could have been downtown tonight near the State House where there's a protest happening, reaction to Roe versus Wade being overturned, and I want to thank you just for being here, and everybody at home as well. I'm not dressing like Johnny Cash for a reason tonight, the woman in black. You know, he was the man in black, you knew that. But I am sort of, I was asked earlier by Rabbi Klein if I was dressed for a funeral, and I said, kinda, kinda. I'm devastated. I'm devastated for this country. I'm devastated for us. I'm devastated for every woman and man and non-binary person, every stripe of the rainbow who maybe felt safe this morning and now feels a certain amount of fear for what happens to a country that doesn't have certain protections in place for people who get pregnant. And think about it, friends. We all know somebody who got pregnant in this room, whether it was our own parent or it was a daughter or a sister or a friend. You know, we are all standing as part of Shalshelet HaKabbalah, the passing on and on and on of our tradition and we stand on the shoulders of great men and women who carried this country forward. And this is a very hard day, especially after being tuned in this week to what I considered to be one of the greatest moments in democratic history for this country, which was, if you watched them, the January 6th hearings, where people were heard and people gave voice to, and people voiced their fear and their upset. In a democratic country, everything has its place, and there was a place for reaction to even that, and I felt so proud to be an American because we make space for criticizing ourselves, criticizing our leaders, criticizing our systems, and finding ways to improve. And now, to face the repercussions of Roe v. Wade being overturned just feels beyond belief. And so again, I'll say that I don't exactly expect everyone to be on the same page just because you're in this house. You are absolutely allowed to have your point of view. And yet, there's this great thing called power of the pulpit, and I'm gonna use it tonight. Because I can't keep my mouth shut about this. Like so many other things, you're like, nope, she couldn't keep her mouth shut about this, that, the other thing, right? But that's me. And I never thought that my pulpit would have to be so political. But again, these are the times that we live in. I want to refer to a few things that I've just read today. I didn't expect that I was going to have to give a drash, a sermonette about this. So all of this is just me trying to glom onto information that feels like it clicks for me. And hopefully it will for you too. And then if it doesn't click or you find that it's out of your personal comfort zone, I want to hear about that too. Because you know how we make our way from point A to point B is we do exactly what they did when they crossed the sea. We just said it a few minutes ago. You join hands and you march together. And we have to find a way to do that. This letter is written by Rabbi Lindsay Danziger and Rabbi Rick Kellner. Some of you will know Rabbi Kellner as being the rabbi at Temple Beth Tikva. And he is also one of the head rabbis for something that's called RAC Ohio, which is the Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism. And this particular regional office is for Ohio. And Rabbi Lindsay Danziger is the chief organizer. They wrote this: "Today is a tragic day for our country, a devastating day for our souls, and a disastrous day for women. The sin of God manipulation has been committed. No one's religious beliefs should ever be the law for all. For nearly 2,000 years, Jewish tradition has supported a woman's right to an abortion, and in some case, requires it. The Jewish faith teaches that life begins at birth. Our tradition commands that we prioritize the life of the Jewish pregnant individual over the life of a fetus. Today's Supreme Court ruling infringes on the First Amendment rights of American Jews to practice our religion. Our community will continue fighting to ensure pregnant individuals can access the medical care they need." And because I feel like it's really important for each and every one of us to be versed enough, you don't have to know everything about constitutional law to be able to say, here's what I know. Especially as a Jewish American today, or as someone who has grafted themselves onto the Jewish American family tree, I want you to be able to have this information. So in another letter, very carefully sculpted, this time by Rabbi Jill Jacobs, who is the CEO of Torah calling the Rabbinic Call for Human Rights. She writes the following, and I want you to just listen and say, did I learn that also from the other two rabbis who just wrote that other letter before this? It's going to repeat some of the information, but I think it contains some of the information we need to be able to answer and to speak up. Reproductive freedom is a Jewish value. I'll just repeat that part because you saw that on the sign outside. Reproductive freedom is a Jewish value. According to Jewish law, abortion is not only permitted in at least some circumstances, but even required if the life of a pregnant person is at risk. Today's ruling ignores the First Amendment right for Jews to practice their religion without government interference and will also have life-threatening implications for millions of Americans, primarily low-income people of color, by giving states the power to revoke essential health care from nearly half the population. They go on and on to talk about what's going to happen in our country next. And I really do feel like this is critical for us to understand. There are going to be many abortion-related deaths, similar to what we saw before Roe v. Wade was enacted in 1973. Because when abortion became legal, it was made legal, accessible, and performed by skilled practitioners. All of those things are in question. It depends on who you are and where you are, how much education you have, what your circumstances are economically. All of these things factor into the ability for abortion to happen now. We are in a new era. And there will be abortion bans in many states. There already are. We're going to look at how this all comes into focus in the next few days and weeks and months, and we'll see how states react. But there's a few things that are going to be very clear. One of the things I want to point your attention to is that Temple Israel is already getting active. As of 1 o'clock this afternoon, when I just happened to have an appointment with two women that I singled out weeks ago because I felt the need to be ready for this. So I came to they're both congregants here. One of them is a lawyer, one of them is a business person. And we already identified two things that, and you might have heard President Biden speak about these things already today with the Justice Department. Not that they have anything else going on, of course, you know, the Justice Department right now. But those things are the two following. One, that there will be many women trying to get abortion access who will not have that access in their state, including the state of Ohio, and will have to go to the nearest state that does offer abortion access. We hope to be part of the effort that will provide transportation for those people, those pregnant people who need to get an abortion for whatever reason, without questioning why it is. It could be health related, it could be socioeconomic, it could be somehow this pregnancy is not going to work for this person. No questions asked, we will help try. We're trying to organize and mobilize, and we want your help. So if you do have the inkling to help, I'm gonna need to know about it so we can help you, put you to work. The other thing is that there is an abortion pill. This pill is a combination of two particular medications which induce pregnancy or induce essentially an abortion. And these are critical to getting women the opportunity, if they need, to stop their pregnancy. I'm not promoting these things necessarily as that should be the answer for all of this. Of course, it has to be a case-by-case basis. You have to examine things, and this is exactly what our sources tell us all the time. Jewish sources going back to the Talmud examine case by case. This is the problem, in my particular perspective, with the fact that this is a sweeping law, and women's cases do not get to be examined case by case. Does she have preeclampsia? She can't have an abortion. Is she going to have a stillbirth, it looks like, by everything that the sonogram is telling us? She still has to have, she doesn't have to have an abortion. She still has to carry the child, right? All kinds of things will be blocked because of this law, including lots of problems with IVF, even with the storage and maintenance of frozen embryos. Could it be murder if a freezer breaks down? We're talking about that. We're talking about these doctors who are going to administer some of these things won't be able, because of this law, because of this reversal of Roe, they will be criminalized and surveilled, as will women be criminalized and surveilled. That actually means, and this is a great article that you should read if you can, do it after Shabbat, do it after Shabbat, but don't do it now. In the New Yorker today, called "We're Not Going Back to the Time Before Roe, We're Going Somewhere Worse." And it's, the subtitle is, "We are entering an era not just of unsafe abortions, but of the widespread criminalization of pregnancy." I've never thought to put the words criminalization and pregnancy together in my wildest dreams. But indeed, in this particular article, and I want to read just a few little highlights of it to you because it's so well articulated and something that I think deserves our ruminating on this Shabbat, because this will be a Shabbat of relative inaction so that we know how to act coming out of it. That's my hope. And tomorrow night, we're going to have a Havdalah service here at 5 o'clock so that you can be part of a sort of like opportunity to mourn a little bit if you need to mourn and be with people, and also to say, God, prepare me for whatever's coming, right? We always say, Hine el Yeshuati aftach v'lo afchad. God, you are my salvation. I'm going to be without fear. I'm going to be strong and trusting. I'm not going to fear what's coming ahead. We need to hear those words and bolster ourselves as we go into the next week. So tomorrow night at 5 o'clock, we'll do that. But in the meantime, this particular article highlights the following: that support for abortion, this is when this is happening, support for abortion has never been higher in this country, with more than 2/3 of Americans in favor of retaining Roe, and 57% affirming a woman's right to abortion for any reason. Any reason meaning, and the two that come up for the most important critical reasons are incest. If this pregnancy was somehow derived from incest or rape, those are still under this very sweeping new law. She will not be protected and will still have to carry her baby to term. And so it goes on to say, anyone who can get pregnant must now face the reality that half of the country is in the hands of legislators who believe that your personhood and autonomy are conditional, who believe that if you are impregnated by any other person under any circumstances, you have a legal and moral duty to undergo pregnancy, delivery, and in all likelihood, 2 decades or more of caregiving. No matter the permanent and potentially devastating consequences for your body, your heart, your mind, your family, your ability to put food on the table, your plans, your aspirations, your life. So in the pre-Roe v. Wade world, before the right to have a free and safe abortion was sworn into law 49 years ago, a woman who got pregnant faced having, we've all heard of back alley abortions. And some of you in this room fought against that, because you saw women dying, because you knew these stories, and they were of your friends or your family members dying because of back alley abortions. And often, frequently, too frequently, they resulted in death or permanent physical and certainly psychological damage. The article goes on to say, the principal danger now lies elsewhere and arguably reaches further. We have entered an era not of unsafe abortion, but of widespread state surveillance and criminalization of pregnant women, certainly, but also of doctors and pharmacists and clinic staffers and volunteers and friends and family members, of anyone who comes into meaningful contact with a pregnancy that does not end in a healthy birth. And here I need to pause, because as I was davening just a few minutes ago, I thought to myself, Holy One of blessing, you and only you have the answer to what happens when that sperm and that ovum meet. Only you know what's going to happen. We have no idea. How can we make a law then that decides for the individual that this is what God wants for you to carry it, whether it endangers your life, the life of your child, devastates your family? And I love children, and I love babies, and I love fetuses, but I also love the living. And it is unfathomable to me that we've reached this moment, because a woman in Ohio who gets pregnant and I gave birth to 2 daughters, a woman in Ohio who seeks to have an abortion will not be legally permitted to do so. She will have to either cross a state line that does allow abortion, or she's going to have to take that abortion pill of sorry, I'm not a doctor, mifepristone or misoprostol. And investigators can violate her privacy, seeking evidence to support their claim against hers that an abortion took place. And she can also serve time in our already massively overcrowded prison system. Whether she wanted to have a pregnancy, was raped, was sexually assaulted by her uncle, had a miscarriage or a stillbirth, or any other crime that could be tied to that pregnancy. So there is so much more. This is so devastatingly sweeping that I want to say this, because I could really end on a super cheery, happy note. No, I couldn't. But I do want to say this as a more of a cautionary moment than anything else. That in this week's Torah portion, in the book of Numbers, one of the many mentions of the stranger comes up, the ger. And a ger is a person who is an outsider. A stranger is an outsider, usually. And it says, there shall be one law for you and one for the resident stranger. It shall be a law for all time throughout the ages. You and the stranger shall be alike before the eternal. You and the stranger shall be alike before the eternal. The same ritual, Torah, and the same rule shall apply to you and to the stranger who resides among you. So the Torah goes out of its way to talk about the stranger a lot. The ger, which literally means a sojourner, who's somebody who's not at home among a land's citizens and thus not necessarily protected by its practices. What does it mean to take in a stranger? We say this at Pesach, right? May all who are hungry come and eat. And we basically say, come on in, stranger. You're not so strange. You can be among us. But even more than that, it says, make room for this person in your life. To be a stranger is to experience otherness in the most deeply harming way. It is lonely. It is feeling cut off. It's feeling, completely alone. And so we're being asked to put this person under our protection. The protection, it used to be in the ancient Near East, it was a protection of a clan or a powerful chief that this person was seeking help from. Can you help me? I am a stranger here. Which is different than an ezrach or a citizen, which is a native member of a country or a society, which means that you're born into the protections of the land around you. And I'm reading here from Rabbi Seth Limmer, who says the Israelites initially become a people, a political entity in the book of Exodus. And then the great epic teaches how the Jewish people go from being slaves, avadim, to Pharaoh, and instead become servants. The same word, avadim, the same word of the eternal. My question here is, at this moment, are we asking women to become slaves or servants, or are we just making them into strangers? FDR said that there were 4 freedoms essential in human life. Number 1, freedom to express ourselves. Number 2, freedom to worship in our preferred manner. Number 3, freedom from want. And number 4, freedom from fear. And so, in this moment, I think that we have an obligation to women who, any pregnant person, I would rather say, any pregnant person who is seeking freedom, but particularly for the last one, freedom from fear. And I think that we are the antidote to women, to people who can become pregnant under their own volition or against their own volition, women need to not be the ger in our society. If we let half of society down by not helping speak up for those rights of women, then we are letting our obligation to the stranger fail. We fail each other. And we can't let that happen. I just refuse to be part of that, and I'm not gonna move because I've heard a lot of people tell me today, Rabbi, you know what? I'm ready to move. This country, are you kidding me? Canada's looking great. Europe, that has strong laws to protect women, sounds pretty terrific, especially at the time of year, right? People, we have to be here because we have to be those voices for people. We can't leave. We can't escape and hope for greener pastures because this is actually our American duty. And our duty as Jews, part of the Jewish people, to protect the stranger, to speak up for these people who absolutely we're going to hear our suffering. And so I ask you to come tomorrow night at 5 o'clock. I hope that you'll join me for this special Havdalah. We already got our kit from the NCJW, who once the leak at SCOTUS came out, they already put a little Havdalah box together for us, and they made a special Havdalah manual just for the end of Roe v. Wade. It's happened, and the only response that we can possibly have is action. In any small or large ways, I hope that you will just visit our website and find out a way to respond. God bless us all, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Ken yehi ratzon. Yasher koach. We continue on page 46 for our Amidah prayer, our Tefillah, and as the rabbis say that we use the traditional words, but our prayer is not complete until we add our own prayers. So please rise as you are able with us. Turn to page 46, and we'll begin together and have an opportunity for our own personal, private reflection. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, ve'Konei HaKol, וזוכר חסי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה.
Page 50.
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומשמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל.
Page 52.
אתה קדוש שמך קדוש, וקדושים כל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Continue your own quiet reflections through page 63. Be seated whenever you feel your prayer is complete.
We now turn to those in our hearts and our minds who need a complete healing of body and soul. So we turn to page 253 as I chant the beautiful words of the Misha Berach, and then we'll have an opportunity to share those names aloud for who you are praying for, a refuat ha-nefesh, a refuat ha-guf, full healing of body and soul. Misha Berach avotenu v'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzhak, v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, u'yavarech et hacholim. Please say those names aloud now. Lev Heshel ben Batami v'Yaakov, Harav Noach ben Shmuel v'Fegel, Necha bat Sarah Rivka, Chana Ruth bat Chana v'Theodor, Aaron David ben Pialeah, Harav Tuvia Levi ben Yosef Tzvia Kohen Ubadia, Harav Reuven Shlomo ben Medavaleah, Naomi bat Miriam v'Harav Yosef, Miriam bat Simcha v'Shifra, Reuven Avraham ben Mordechai v'Ada, Gabriela bat Nechemia u'Devorah, Rachel Devorah, Jerry Bain, Corey Casperson, Becky Caudle, Pat Caudle, Barton Cohen, Pamela Cohen, Lee Conkle, David Dockner, Larry Footer, Elaine Dank Friedman, Karen Gillen, Warren Grove, Annette Harris, Keanu Greenwald, Ethan Kadish, Jeff Cape, Ray Carlsberger, Dama Killinger, Jesse Cloth, Kaya Cloth, Mike Kravitz, Sherry Cruz, Marilyn Lassen, Bill Lazaro, Cheryl Logan, Chris McGowan, Maddie Osborne, Anthony Paneth, Clark Patton, Arnold Reamer, David Schulman, Annette Turner, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Imalei Rachamim Aleihem, L'Chalimam U'Rapotam, U'L'Chatziakam, Vayishlach Lehem Mehira Refuah, Refuat Shlema Min HaShamayim, Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat HaGuf, Hashtabala Bizman Kariv, Ve'nomar Amen. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us say,
Amen.
Amen.
Please turn to page 258. In the middle of the page, we read a prayer for our country. Thus says Adonai, this is what I desire, to unlock the fetters of wickedness and untie the cords of lawlessness, to let the oppressed go free, to break off every yoke. Share your bread with the hungry, and take the wretched poor into your home. When you see the naked, give clothing, and do not ignore your own kin. If you banish the yoke from your midst, the menacing hand, the evil speech, if you offer compassion to the hungry and satisfy the famished creature, then your light shall shine in darkness.
And across the page, a prayer for Israel. O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace.
Shield it beneath the wings of your love, spread over it the canopy of your peace.
Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there.
Amen.
Avinu, Avinu, Sheba Shamayim, Tzur Yisrael ve'goalo. Avinu, Avinu, Sheba Shamayim, Tzur Yisrael ve'goalo.
And we really do bless Israel with the strength to get through another round of elections, the fifth in 3.5 years. So, and the shortest prime minister in history, Naftali Bennett. I hear he's like gonna Uber or something. He's gonna be an Uber driver. No? Okay, sorry. Little humor tonight. Page 282.
We rise for Aleinu.
We rise for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabach l'adon hakol, l'teit gedula liotzer breshit, shehu noteh shamayim ve'yoser haaretz, u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim mima'al, u'shchinatu zo b'gofei romim, hu Eloheinu einon, v'anachnu korim, u'mishachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu.
Page 287.
V'ne'emar ve'aya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad.
Please have a seat, friends, and let us turn to those we remember. Tonight we are remembering everyone that we miss so much and on whose shoulders we still stand despite the fact that they are no longer part of this world the way they once were. As we turn to page 294 for Kaddish, we remember tonight in the period of Shiva, if there's anybody here in the house who is commemorating the recent death of a loved one, we recognize you. If you're here during the period of the Shloshim, the 30 days, we are remembering Elaine Gurian, Michael Thrush, Sheila Hecker, and Eileen Zeldin. If you are joining us during the first year after having lost someone you love, if you could please rise as you are able so that we can recognize your loss. And tonight we are recognizing the yahrzeit, the anniversary of the following loved ones' deaths. And as you hear their names, if you would please rise. Nathan S. Berkowitz, Sylvia Bogner, Jack Brenner, Alvin Barak, Ernestine Berman, Norman Cohen, Rose Cohen, Max David Freed, Gerald Melvin Friedman, Rose Cohen Garrick, Abraham Greenberg, Doris Harder, Jack Jaffe, Albert Clayman, Alta Kravitz, James Lance, Stephen Marcus. We're remembering Minnie Marinoff, Jacob Mars, Michael McKee, Mildred Nash, Lucille B. Needleman, Betty Packer, Rose Payne, Melvin Rakoff, Scott C. Reed, Lillian Shonman Rose, Newman W. Roseberry, Isidore Schmerler, Roy Sharfin, B. Lee Skilkin, Harry Stoff, Herbert B. Swartz, Eugene Schreiber, and Patricia Zimmerman. Are there any additional names that you'd like to add? So let's all stand together then, Turning to page 294, we say Kaddish Yatom in remembrance together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'olma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh. B'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehe shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olamei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitale v'yithalal shmei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran bi'olma v'imru Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. May the source of peace bring peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who are grieving. Zichronam livracha, may their memories continue to bless and inspire us always, and we say, Amen. Please be seated, friends. Please do check our website for all the great stuff that we are doing. And
Next Shabbat will
Yeah.
be the first Shabbat of the month, which will be July 1st. I cannot believe that, but it's our celebration Shabbat. So please join us with all your smachot, all your joys in your life to celebrate. And then the following Shabbat, we're actually going to have something called Shabbat at home, where we're going to encourage you all to invite each other to maybe al fresco, a Shabbat outside.
because the weather's going to be perfect.
Because the weather will definitely be perfect. And just keep, as the rabbi said, just watch our website for summer programming. And once again, a yasher koach and a bahatzlacha and a toda rabah to Cantor Greenberg. This is for you.
Join us for Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahav ratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reshit ki hu yom tefillah l'mikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim ve'shabbat kodshcha ve'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. L'chaim, to life.
And I'm looking around tonight thinking, oh, this is so fun because I don't know everyone. So I hope that you will, if you have that same recognition, that you go, howdy stranger, Shabbat Shalom. Okay, nobody be a stranger here. I know that's a charged word now that I said it. But you know what I'm saying, be friends.
No strangers.
And there are also people here tonight, there's some people that I know are sitting together. I just don't, let's make sure that we say, who is that? Okay? Really, bring them in. And let's make motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
And we close with the singing of Shalom Aleichem on page 323, welcoming the angels and having them escort us home. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Sharei, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Mochem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hayai Barjoni, Shalom Aleichem, Shalom
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Thanks for being here, friends.